Hi, Bill. Just popped on early just to test the sound, so let me know if I'm still breaking up. I think it should have been fixed. Hey, Spiros. Let me know if the sound is okay. Sound is good for Vel. Fantastic. Hi, Ishmael. How are you doing? Sound is good. Got it. Got it fixed. I'm not going to change anything, hands away for now. Let's see if it keeps that way. Hope you all have been well, super well. Hey, BL. No, I didn't get a new mic. Still the same clip-on mic. I'm trying not to touch it. Um, did some software thing updates and power. I think it was the lack of power that made it a bit distorted. This and that. I don't. The guys sat down and worked on it, and then it seems to work now. So, hopefully all good. Hopefully it stays that way. Hands-off approach a bit like how I need to be after I enter the trade. We hopefully we got that sorted on the mic, and hopefully we got that sorted for you as well, Bell, through yesterday's session. Hey, Christina, good morning. Sound is great. Thank you so much. Sounds very good. Fantastic. It is storming. It's literally storming outside my window right now. You can see so dark. It looks like it's 6 o'clock, almost 5, 6 o'clock. It's nice weather. Very nice weather right now. I love it. Hey, Ahmed, how you doing? Hi, Arif. Now, how you doing? Jesus Trades asked for a pound yen straight away. We'll get to that. Give it a couple of minutes before we get started. I'm not feeling so pressured right now, given that we got good sound, so I'm happy. Still feeling terribly guilty about yesterday. If we had, I tell you, I was looking at the charts and doing the trades. If we had the session yesterday, we would have had quite a lot of very good trades. I was writing up the analysis. I did the Kiwi dollar, I did the Aussie dollar, I did the yen, and then had a couple of coaching calls, and I got distracted after that, so I didn't continue on. But if we did had the call yesterday, would have had a lot of good trades. Hope you guys had a good trade. Had many good trades yesterday, despite not having a call. Vel had a great trade after we spoke. Remember what you said and managed to take my PP at 30 pips. Good job, Vel. Brilliant 30 pips. Arif Nanu, the stream will start in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Just giving it time for everyone to stream in. And also, if you can help me out, same deal applies. Click on that like and subscribe button if you're on YouTube. If you're on TradingView, click that little rocket ship button. If you're on trading.live, click that little hand clappy button. And if you're new to this session, do drop a message and say hi. Let me know that you're here. Let me know where you're joining us from. I would love to find out. We have Jesus Trades SJO from Costa Rica. I think you're my first viewer from Costa Rica ever. So good to have you with us. Hi, Ju Marinas. Good morning. How are you doing? One more minute before we start. I had a good Aussie trade yesterday. was busy. That was just left running. Was busy with the pound and the euro dollar as well. So relatively busy trading last night. And for everyone else who hasn't already, the link is there for the club, for the community. I don't know what to call it. Club, community, server, chat room. It's Discord. It's on Discord. The link is there. If you haven't already, do make sure you join. That's where we take our communications, our discussions beyond this 1 hour session for daily market analysis. Through the day, if I see anything interesting that I can share with you guys, it'll be there. We have people discussing trade ideas. We have special promos and stuff running there on prop firms. And more importantly, there is a link for a one-to-one session with me to coach you through your trading journey. So if you do need any help, do make sure you jump onto that. I look forward to meeting up with you all through that coaching session as well. Alrighty, so let's get started. Again, we have good sound, so welcome back to the daily market analysis. We look at the fundamentals in terms of what has happened previously. We look at the fundamentals of what is coming up, the technicals in terms of where price is, where it could be heading towards. Combine that together, looking for some possible trade setups. It is going to be a little bit tricky for today because prices are at very low levels that could lead to a small bounce before a continuation or complete retracement. I think retracement might come tomorrow, but it's just time to be a little bit more careful at this point. All right, so we'll look at some possible trade setups. Again, I'll say this for the last time today. If you can help me out, click that like and subscribe button on YouTube, TradingView, trading.live. Drop a message, say hi, let me know that you're here. And if you have any questions at any point in time, please feel free to put it into the chat. Let me know any particular pairs you'd like me to look at, put into the chat and let me know as well. All right. And good morning, Carsten. How are you doing? Hi, Jordan. Good morning. Hi, Diana. Good to see you. Sound is great. Fantastic. Alrighty, so let's keep going. Quick disclaimer, any information contained on this webinar should not be construed as advice and is presented as educational material only. Please do your own due diligence because the contents of this webinar is not intended to be a recommendation to trade a financial product. The objectives, financial situation, and needs has not been considered, and you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances. All right. With all that said, I do always receive questions and queries about trade signals. You know, almost at the end of this session, someone would say, "So what's the trade signal for today?" I don't really intend for this to be a trade signal session. It's really there to share with you my point of view of where I think the market is, share with you my watch list, my analysis. Hopefully, it aligns with your own analysis as well. Then you can take it from there to trigger your trades. Okay, so I look at it more as a sharing session rather than a trade signal. Because trade signals, there are many ways to game a trade signal. So I'd rather not do that. I'd rather just share with you analysis, learn before you earn, tie it together with your own trading strategy because everyone trades a little bit differently. Then we can take it from there. Okay? So, oops, oh, that one first. That one first. All right. Hey, Frederick, how are you doing? Frederick was on yesterday, but we had a very short session yesterday. Good morning, Angel Case. Top of the morning from Ecuador. Top of the afternoon from Singapore. How are you all doing? Okay, so just a quick review of what we had yesterday, right? It was a completely disrupted session yesterday. We did have the Kiwi with their interest rate decision, 5.5%, staying at 5.5%. The statement actually indicated that there was, although they stayed at 5.5, inflation is still very high or is still considered to be high. So they are considering the possibility of further rate increases. I actually wrote that up through the trading view yesterday. So what we saw as a result of that was on release of the news at this point, this green dotted line there, we saw the Kiwi dollar spike up towards that resistance level of 0.5987 or 0.5950. Came up towards that resistance. I was hoping for it to go a little bit higher before turning back down, but it actually hit that level and reversed completely. Okay, so I did not get into this trade to the downside because it did not get to my trigger level. So that was the news early yesterday morning with the RBNZ and their cash rate decision. Firstly, it went up because it held at 5.5 with the possibility of another rate increase on the horizon. And then secondly was that it actually went up because we saw that weakness in the dollar. Right, the dollar index early yesterday, during yesterday's session, actually traded to the downside. Right, so it moved down briefly, and that's why we saw most pairs gain against the dollar early in the session. And then after that, we saw that dollar strength cover back up. So that was the Kiwi dollar. We did have the pound with their CPI data year on year being released. It was 7.9, expected a 6.7, was released at a 6.8. What this means is that we are seeing a slowdown in inflation growth in the UK. We are seeing a slowdown in inflation growth in the UK. The Bank of England was in between the decision of one more rate hike or no more rate hikes. I think that at 6.8, it is still significantly higher than their target level of 2 to 3%, inflation being at 2 to 3%. So I don't think they're possibly ready to pause yet. We might still see one more on the horizon. And because of that, right, we are seeing the impact of rate increases, but yet we might see them push through some more to bring it down to their target level of 2 to 3%. And because of that, we saw the pound dollar, right, and that was at 2 p.m. here on the release of the news, spike towards the upside, right? Spike towards the upside, up as high as 1.2765 before that dollar strength bringing it back down again. Okay, so those were the news from yesterday, which we did not get to get through, unfortunately, but we're all caught up right now. And then nothing much else, not too concerned about everything else. Through to this morning, through to early this morning, 2 a.m. GMT plus 8, we had the US FOMC meeting minutes released. Typically, we do see that meeting minutes would not have a big impact on the dollar or price movements because it is just indicating what happened at the meeting, right? But this time, with the meeting minutes, it actually gave us a very deep insight into the considerations because Fed officials still see upside risk to inflation, possibly leading to more rate hikes, minutes show. Right? So significant inflation risk that may merit more rate hikes. So remember earlier in the month, earlier in the month I was talking about a rate hike, another rate hike for the FOMC in September. And then as we went through the couple of days after that, the likelihood of a September rate hike seemed to have dwindled. Right now, given what is said during the minutes that it may merit more rate hikes, that actually led to the dollar index to the upside. You can see on Thursday at 2 a.m. right there, right? So it was pushing to the upside. It was at 103.33 before spiking up towards that 103.55 resistance level. Anticipation for more rate hikes from the FOMC led to that strength on the dollar, pushing it higher. Okay, so that was what happened early this morning through to the employment numbers for the Aussie. Unemployment rate climbed a bit more than expected, 3.5 to a 3.7. Employment change dropped. They were expecting only 14.6. I'm wondering whether someone forgot to put in a minus sign there, because it was released at minus 14.6k. So we saw massive drop on the Aussie dollar following, well, through last night and for especially through this morning. On the Aussie dollar here at 9 a.m. there we saw that big spike down, breaking past that support level of 6390 before retracing back up again. So, this was a trade that I analyzed and published on TradingView yesterday. Worked out very nicely. I did get onto that trade. I think I closed out at about I think it was a bit different. So 67 or 66 pips, right? So I closed out at 66. Updated in the group last night as it came down towards that 6425 level. I was saying that you could close out a trade or move your stop loss to break even. This morning, as it was at 64, again I highlighted that could be looking at that before it broke strongly to the downside. So that worked out well. If you did get into the Aussie dollar from last night, do let me know. Anyone got onto the Aussie dollar from last night? Do let me know. That was that was that one. So that was the Aussie. At that point, we were saying if it breaks through that support level again, we could sell it all the way down, and it actually worked out very nicely for us, Aussie. So if you did get onto the Aussie, let me know. If you didn't get onto the Aussie, then do make sure that you look for me on TradingView and follow, because whenever I post that kind of analysis, then you could get an update. Might be able to get onto that trade as well. Okay. So with that, then tonight we do have unemployment claims from the US. Again, that is a weekly number, not too concerned. I think we're looking at a general trend on the dollar index to the upside. I think that that's likely. Then on to tomorrow. I realize I've been talking a lot right now, so bear with me. On to tomorrow, not a lot of news, right? Not a lot of news to be worried about. The only thing I would be looking at would be at 2 p.m. retail sales number for the UK. A bit surprising that they're expecting it to go from a 0.7 to a minus 0.6. So if it does come out at that level, then it would be something to watch out for. Might see that weakness in pound dollar strength, gain more weakness on the pound dollar weaken further from that retail sales number if it comes out at a minus 0.6. Okay. With that said as well, I'll tell you that tomorrow there is no daily market analysis, not a lot of news, and I do have a couple of other things to work on. So there is no daily market analysis for tomorrow. Right? Now, looking at the charts, looking at the dollar. Today we are on the 17th of August. Said yesterday I attended one-to-one sessions. Informative, thanks for the knowledge. Most welcome there, Mino. Good to have you with us. So looking at the dollar and what we've just looked at, dollar strength is playing through. We are seeing that dollar strength from the FOMC this morning. And then also, with no big news coming up, anticipate that to continue to the upside. Okay, so that went up. We spoke about this on the 15th, that the dollar index could break up to that 103.55. It took a little bit longer, took one more day longer than we expected, but it did get to 103. 5. At this point, we can take that away because that's done. I would consider whether we have a level here, right? That support level of 103.20 still valid. Try that as a support. So now the consideration is that we could see something very similar to what we saw yesterday. So this was at 12 o'clock all the way to 3 o'clock. It's been reversing from that resistance level, very similar to what we saw yesterday. At that 12 o'clock, it reversed, the dollar index reversed right back down all the way to 4 and then push straight up. Anticipating a similar move. I'm anticipating a similar move. Let me some levels. I'm not sure. I don't think that it would get to this point. So why I was running a few levels there is I see no reason that 103.39 right now. 103.20 would be the most likely level, but I don't see any reason why it could push that much. So I think that the dollar index is likely to sit around there, maybe push down to 103.30 before pushing back up again. Okay, so it might come down to could retrace to 103.30 before strength recovery in strength, right? But what I would also say is that, hi Lee Frank, how are you doing? Is that this 103.55 level is quite significant given how it's tested and retraced. So I wouldn't be looking to sell it down. I wouldn't be trying to sell on that dollar weakness. I'll be looking for that bounce back up towards 103.55. If it breaks above 103.55, then the next level, I know we have a big level here, right? A big level here at 104.30, about 104.30. I think that just on the daily time frame there, just because of that tail there at 103.75, would even say 103.8, just to consider that 8. So I'm looking for it to consolidate or retrace down to 103.30, bounce off this level towards 103.55, and if it breaks higher, up towards 103.80. Okay. Hi Simon S, how are you doing? So let's consolidate or retrace to 103 before recovery, before bouncing to 103.55, beyond that 103.8. Okay, so still looking for that consolidate around there, retrace before pushing back up, and beyond that 103.8. That means that I would be sitting there waiting for that to break out before I look for that dollar strength scenario again. I wouldn't be looking for dollar weakness. I'll be looking for that dollar strength. So looking at the charts here on the Kiwi dollar, right? The Kiwi dollar broke strongly to the downside. We can take that away. This level here of 5920 is way back. Oh, way back. Is way back here. That 50% level of this move. Okay, so that's reasonable. coming back to the present. So I check my lines to see why I have it there. I'll take this away, that away. Then now checking my trend line. It's working well. I'll keep that. I could drag it down further. There we have it on the Kiwi dollar. What I'm looking for here now is an idea of how far it could retrace. 50% is right up to this point here. Let me just have a go. 38. It is now testing at 23.6 level, looking like break slightly, or could fail at this point. Identic. So it's at that level, 38.2 is there. We are seeing that dollar consolidate along this point. Might trace down a little bit. So what I'll be looking for here on the Kiwi dollar at that 38.2 level. Okay, I'll be looking for this to push up, turn back down. I'll be looking to sell it down. I might miss, I'm not sure whether it'll go all the way up. I think I'm considering. Right, I'm considering that also because if you look at that, do have a bit of a channel there, just broken out a channel. Okay, so what I'll be looking for here is a sell on the Kiwi. I think you could look for it there, but maybe even if you did this, so 5915, stop loss 25 pips. So I'm looking for this. Okay, I'll tell you that I'm looking for that. So 25 to 60. What this means is that I think the Kiwi dollar could do anything here. It could bounce around, it could break out, it could do whatever it wants here. But the moment it breaks and closes below, then that's where I'll be looking to get into a trade. Right? If it doesn't bounce around as much and just goes straight down, closes below that point, I could be looking for that downward move. So there we have it. Kiwi dollar at 0.5915, stop loss 25 pips, take profits pips. Hey Goju, how are you doing? So sell 5915, stop loss 25, take profit 6. Go. Right. Then, any questions there? All good? Ready? Then next up, looking at the Aussie dollar. I'm super happy about this Aussie dollar trade. I tell you, when we spoke about it, we said that there was a pennant, a flag, a bearish flag here, and it did break down towards that support level. It continued down, retraced. That was a very good trade. I'm super happy with that 60 pip trade to the downside. Right now, very similar to the right now at this point, very key support at 6390. Right, 6390, 6400. I think it's going to stay within this range. As much as we expect the Kiwi dollar to drop, I think that the Aussie could fluctuate along this support level briefly before going lower. Right, if we see that dollar strength coming into play, naturally the Aussie dollar is going to go lower. Check this. Work. Check this. Comes back up slightly. All right, I don't need those. Then looking at the H4 time frame to check my next support level, you can see that the Aussie is right now slightly above this support. we're looking for it to break. If I drag this right across, you would see that if it does break past this point, we're going to see a big downside. If it rejects this point, we see a big downside. If it breaks past this point, we see a big downside. Right? So with that, then very similarly, I would say that on the Aussie dollar front, would be looking at that dollar strength scenario 6365, stop loss 30 pips, take profit almost 90 pips to the downside. Take profit almost 90 pips to the downside. That would mean that we're going to see we would have to see a big push on the dollar index upside. Thank you, Sedma. Sandman. So what I'm looking at here, I think that would be reasonable. The only thing, what I'm considering now is whether there is an interim level. Interim level of about this point. So that means that that's a bit okay. I'll be happy with that. What I'll be waiting for is for the Aussie dollar to break past that low, the low from this morning, continuation down. Remember that Aussie weak employment data from the Aussie together with that dollar strength, we could see this the resumption to the downside. Now I'm looking at this. That's reasonable. Okay, quite happy with that trade then. It's set up 6365, 30 pip stop, 90 pip take profit. Okay, 6365, stop loss 30, take profit 90. Jim took the same trade yesterday. Fantastic, Jim. Okay, yep, I'll be happy with that. Next up, a slightly disappointing one was the yen. Still no intervention. Are they going to intervene? When are they going to intervene? That's the question. When is the BOJ going to step in? At 145, we thought that's a level between 145 and 146. Now it's broken above 146, tested 146.50, still consolidating at that point. So question still continues on, are they going to intervene? If they are, when? All right, so the intervention zone has stretched further. I don't think it'd be worth doing. That's there. That fib level still continues. We do have that 146 level holding. I don't think it'd be worth doing this for now. I would take away 146, the line at 146. Well, just no big relevance there because it just broke straight through 146. That away. Okay, so what, I'm still thinking, I'm still trying to guess about the intervention, but as we are looking at the dollar possibly gaining strength, pushing back up, that's naturally going to lead to further upside on the US yen. Right? It's naturally going to lead to further upside on the US yen. So I wouldn't, at this point, I wouldn't be super keen on an intervention yet. Looking for this to push up above 146.50. Now looking at go to the daily time frame. 146.50 was here. Beyond that, we have very big candles to the upside. I don't want to give you a level at 140. I don't think 148 would be so. I think could target 147.55. That tail that has to be 148.20. I just want that point. So there were a few questions through my coaching sessions. Everyone's like, a few people are asking, how do I determine my lines? I really look for that turning points. So I'm looking at this area as my support or my resistance level. So I'm just catching that lower end of that area. So about 148. So coming back to it, then we are looking at dollar yen. Right now consolidating. If we are looking for this to break to the upside, then we're looking at the dollar strength pushing it higher, 146.75. 46.5, take profit. I would say go for that, take profit, but be ready to close out a trade anytime. Then stop loss at about 40 pips. Okay, that's the idea for a continuation. Then the more possibility of an intervention. I don't see why they would do any intervention today or tomorrow, just based on the way price is moving. Why they would do an intervention today or tomorrow? Okay, hang on. Buba said no voice on his end. Is it working for everyone else? Hi, Buba. Okay, all good. All right. Buba, turn it up. Turn up the volume. Click something. All right. Okay, so I think that that's the view for the US yen. Just be super careful about that trade. It could reverse. It will be choppy. It could reverse anytime. But I think that as it consolidates, that dollar strength is going to consolidate here. We're looking for that breakout. Then you could close out in the middle. Okay, so 140, 150. So 146.75, 40 pip stop loss, 150. 46, 5, stop loss 40, profit, and I'll still say watch out. Okay, cool. Over. Might even bit of a trace, bounce back up, but overall still push high. Hey Jamil, how you doing? While I have you guys on the line as well, is the sound the sound is okay, but is it loud enough? Soft? Sharp enough? Then onto the pound dollar, we had that all running. Let's all those away. That well because it's broken. Still well within that range. I was scalping the pound dollar to the downside last night. At this point, I would say that it's likely to stay within this range. We're looking at that dollar consolidate, looking for retrace. If it does retrace, then pound dollar should push up a little bit higher. Pound dollar should push up a little bit higher. Because it is right in the middle, I would say that I would be looking for this to push up towards that resistance. Then after that, looking for a rejection to go down. consolidating right there. As much as I'm saying that, I don't think it will go from 1.2735 to 1.790. So that away, could be looking at a high from yesterday. Consolidate. Bounced off 38.2. I think it could sit there before turning back down. Okay, the safest thing I can think of setup, if it, instead of looking for it to trade higher before turning down, I would say that only if it breaks below today's low, right? Yesterday's level, today's low, then we could look to sell it down. This is again expecting that dollar strength. You'd be looking at 1.2695, stop loss 25 pips, take profit down towards this point at 5 or 780 pips. Right, so it's breaking past this point, past the previous day's low, and we could see it trade downside. I would prefer this rather than trying to guess how high it will go before turning back down again. Don't forget GJ, I will. Now that we've done pound dollar, we get to GJ. So 1.2695, 25 pip. And so 1.2695, stop loss 25, take profit. Was it 80? It was. Yep. Okay. That's really. Yep. It seems like it's forming up now. So with that, we see the yen, US yen, possible consolidation before possibly pushing higher. Pound dollar maybe dropping back down. With that, then looking at the pound yen. We spoke about this on Tuesday, saying that if it breaks up, you could look to trade up towards that resistance. It's gone there. Good 70 pip move to the upside. Took a bit longer than we expected, but it is at that resistance level now of 186.40. A rejection of this point, right? The pound dollar trading lower could drag this down. The US yen consolidating while the pound dollar goes lower could drag this down. But if the yen trades up, then that's going to push higher. So first instinct is to say that we could see it trade down towards this level. But I think that if you look at the pound yen for the next level up, way up there, also about there, expected 81. All right, looking at very big levels here. Very big levels here. So just be careful of this. What we're going to do here on the pound yen is a retrace to about this point, bounce back up. Maybe we'll see a push. I'm not super, I don't like this a lot because I'm looking at the pound dollar dragging down, US yen showing some weight, but dollar index should pull it back up. So the pound yen is going to be very choppy. I think that even if it does come up, it's going to be very choppy within this range. Right? It's going to move up, but it's going to be very choppy, something like that. Okay? So if you had to definitely get into a trade on the pound yen, I would say 186.70 take profit. I wouldn't go all the way. I don't see a reason for 183 pip move upside. Say that 1,750 reasonable, 55. Stop loss about 40. You're still looking at 1:2 to the upside. But then it's going to be super choppy. I would urge a lot of caution on that. Okay. Makes sense. Hope that makes sense for you. Jesus trades as OJ. Then onto the euro dollar. Right, euro dollar, when this was on Tuesday, did very well on that. Take that away. Last night I was trading the euro to the downside as well. Right, so I started at about 10-ish. Right, when it rejected, yeah, it was this point. When it rejected, when I saw this two candles here, I circled more than two, but these two candles, that rejection of that support turned resistance level, that me to go, okay, euro is going to go down, dollar strength, started trading the euro to downside. Okay, so very happy with that one. Now that's gone from a support resistance, and take away dotted lines. Well, now I'm looking at this and thinking that's going to hold, likely to hold, but the tails, which would mean that the euro dollar is going to bounce back up, hit this level, and turn back down. Dollar strength, right? This is still valid, but we could just draw it nearer to a nearer level. So what I'll be looking for here on the euro dollar, with no major news on the euro. Tomorrow we do have CPI numbers, but we're not expecting here. Then I would be looking for the euro to do this test and break down again. Right, this is on condition that we see that the dollar recovery really comes around. Okay, so I would say that the aggressive people, aggressive traders, could look to sell on rejection of that trend line. So you could be looking at 1.0885. But I think that it's, so you could be looking at that. You could be looking at a 20 pip stop loss, a 40 pip take profit, test and reject. Double there. $108.85. Then you could go down to about 45 pips. And then if that doesn't retrace, as much, then I would be looking for a smaller trade from this 108.6 level to the downside. Not then I'll be looking. Then you could be looking for a trade down from here. To be a lot smaller, only 5. So I'm not going to bother about that. I'll be looking for that. If that doesn't happen, then look for something. Beyond that, there is a lot of other opportunities. So look for that bounce, go down. Okay. So 1.0885, 20 pip stop, 45 take. Euro 1.0885, stop loss 20 or 25? 20, stop loss 4. Take profit 45. So there we have it. XAG USD, I can do that. Couple of moments. Okay, I'm happy with that. On to the US Swiss franc. Did not happen, right? It came down slightly before pushing back up again. Trend line is at that resistance level. I think Shiba Fina. What's Shiba Fina? No idea what Shiba Fina is. Tell me about it and we'll tell you more. This too many circles. I see that coming back down a little bit because of that dollar doing that. Also with the euro, that. So I would like to say that it's going to come down, test this level, and bounce back up. But what you could be looking, generally, what we're looking for is either for it to come down, that, or consolidate along here and then break upside. Okay, thanks for that. Thanks for the translation, Jordan. I'll get to that shortly. Revealing how old school I am. Okay, US Swiss franc 0.8815 break above that high. Stop loss 15 to 20, no more than 20 pips. Good. Take profit up to 36 towards that level there. Interim level there that we have. US franc. And why I'm using the interim level is because I don't see a reason why it could go up that 100 pips. I think that would be reasonable on the US Swiss franc. And if you look at this, it's breaking out the range. So when you look at something that's breaking out the range, you want to be careful. There might be a lot of false breaks. I was talking to a couple of you guys about false breaks. So I'm considering this whole area as a level to be careful of. That's why I wanted to really break out, or I would buy it up. Okay, so 0.8810, stop loss 50, take profit 35. Buy 10, stop loss. So do we think Shiba is going to be doing well? Shiba will run and dump based on hype. Create a swap DEX. Not too much actual value in it. That's what we decide to hold on to. Yeah, right now, does look like. I made money on Shiba back then on all the hype where Don was going to mention it at a interview and all that kind of stuff. Made very good money on that. But it's all hype. I feel the actual utilization of the coin is to get to proven or to be done. So I think short term, do it short term, trade it short term, but then still looking for that fundamental driver behind Shiba. Sorry, more digression. Looking at it on H1 time frame, look at that price. It's going down. The next point is going to get to is, I don't know how many zeros there are, but it's going to get to that point. Any bad news? It's a Shiba Renium launch. what it is, but any bad news is going to cause it to go even further down to that point. So I think that on current trajectory, looks like further downside on Shiba. I don't see why it should bounce from this point, given that it's just 10 minutes ago dropped 7%. Then you can find out more on that as well. I don't know anything about the Shiba Reums launch. Yeah, you know, crypto right now, I do accumulate some of it, but just a slow accumulate. Breaks a level, I'll accumulate, but nothing too crazy. I wouldn't put too much. For me, I wouldn't put a big proportion of my funds, my risk capital onto it, or rather, I only put risk capital onto it. Okay. So hope Jordan and I answered your question there. Quota bag. And hey, put it into the chat. Let me know, do you think that we should or I should cover more cryptocurrency during this session? Or we should do a cryptocurrency session? Oh, let me know. Talk so much about FX. Should we get into a cryptocurrency session as well? All right, so US CAD did well, take that away, moved almost as planned to the upside. We can take that one away, still trending strongly higher. Consolidating, dollars still sitting there. So this might sit at this level. Dollar strength is going to push it higher. So what I'll be looking for, I don't think this will be a tradable level. All right, 1.3548, only 30 something pip. I would say that the anticipation for the US CAD will be for it to consolidate slightly here for pushing up towards resistance, but I would be more keen on the reaction at 1.35. It is very high, and once we come to this point that we do see quite, drag this right across, you can see that at this levels we do see quite choppy, very choppy price action. US CAD at this 1.3580 level. So I would say that it's going to get there. It's most likely going to get there. But once it gets there, we're going to see a lot of chop and change. So I would, in this case, be looking for, waiting for the action along 1.3580. Okay, cryptos, Bitcoin, Ethereum, solve current issue. Thank you for that, Jordan. I appreciate that. Thanks for that. Yeah, I will integrate some of it. I have been writing a little bit about it as well. I just tried to some analysis on thought, try something out. All right, so that's US CAD done. I think that a more precise move I would anticipate is a test and bounce. I'll be looking for a reaction along that. Then onto gold. All right, we saw this the last time we spoke. We said gold needs to break 1904 before 1895. Look what it did. Went there, it broke 1904. Right, it went up, broke 1904 before coming down to 1895. Right now, at this point again, this small bounce, again dragging this right down. So to see this trend line has been following us since the 5th of August and even way before that. If I just took this right across, and we're on H4 time frame, that'd be wiser. Do that. So at the end of July, this big downward push has been following, leading prices lower. So now coming back to this, I would say that again, small rebound, a small retrace on gold, back up towards that trend line before pushing down. Right, so I'm looking for this move to happen. So it needs to break 1892. I'll say break 1892 to next level at 5. Not a big move for now, because I'm watching and wondering whether the dollar is going to be a bit toppish. Right, we had a new hour right now and it looks like it's going to sit there a little bit, but I still look for the upside move. So okay, there we go, 1892 to 1885. Gold needs to break 1892 before trading down to 85. Oh, right. And Barry asked about silver. In a range, it's in a range between 22.29 or 22.30 and 22.80. So I would say that very similar to gold, where we are expecting a bit of a bounce before push to the downside. I would say that silver being a little bit correlated, not perfectly correlated. We could see, I would be looking for it to remain within the range test for coming back down again of this level. I don't trade silver, as you would see, my charts are not super updated, but within this range, I think that unless it breaks out of this range, we're going to see that unless it breaks out of this resistance area, we're going to see this range continue. Okay, so I think it's going to remain between 22.30 and 20. Why do I have a feeling that dollar is toppish? Well, because the last time we got to beyond this level was in June, right? It came down from this point. And if you look at this on the daily time frame, tried to spike up, it's sitting right there. So it's in that a bit of an indecision point right now. We do have a little bit more of the day to go through, but it's forming that doji. And then the last two times, July 6th, June 30th, came up to this point, had a big retrace back down again, right? And also that the dollar has been this is a big V shape, right? So big V shape. So I'm anticipating or wondering whether we could see a push back down. Right? Does that answer your question there, Robbie? I'm just looking at this level, possibly forming a bit of a indecision there at a major resistance level. Very similar to what we saw a bit here as well. A big push, bit of an indecision, we saw a big retrace back down. So now we see that same thing here. Bit of a thin bar before a big retrace back down again. So this one now happening at an extreme level could lead to that big push back down again. Not saying that it's going to come back down now, but I think that the upside, while still valid, could be a little bit cautious. All right. So with that said, I'm super happy that the sound is working well and got through a session today. Again, the link is there for you guys. If you haven't already, do join the Discord channel. If you have any questions, please feel free to put it into the Discord channel as well. Ask a question. For all the members in the community, haven't already book a one-to-one session with me, the link is there. Please go ahead, book a session. I don't know when I'll keep that going for. So once we fill up on some schedules, I might pause that. So make sure you book this. Thank you all so much, Jordan. Thank you for all the analysis and the sharing on the cryptocurrencies. Thanks, BL. Thanks, Diana. Thanks, Robbie. I just found out. Thank you. Thank you. I just found out. Thanks, Vel. Remember, no session tomorrow. Thanks for the reminder, Vel. No session tomorrow. I'll see you all on the live stream on Monday, but I'll be there on Discord for you guys. Thanks, Lani. Thank you, Me Ferry. And with that said, please trade well, trade safe. I'll see you all again. Take care now.